Let's now speak to the National Assembly's Deputy Speaker, Lechesa Tsenoli. Thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the main objectives for this particular committee.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate the opportunity to do so. Please allow me to express my discomfort at the scenes and the force displayed there for the arrest of an advocate. It doesn't look good. I just wanted to say that I saw that, and it is disturbing. I don't know whether it really, whatever the case is, warrants that kind of conduct. Yes, we are moved. Firstly, let's state that the priority for us is the people who have lost their lives. We would like to act in their interests so that we can do as much as possible in the space and time we have to be able to do so, to ensure that any assistance which the state legitimately must provide them is done, and we prevent any further damage to people's homes, lives, and livelihoods, which is critical. And so the purpose of the Ad Hoc committee is to interact, firstly, with other committees that have a direct responsibility over these matters, such as social development, for example, for the assistance of people, but also such as COCTA, which overall is in charge of disaster management and so on. So it is important that the committee interacts with others and coordinates their inquiry into and oversee what's happening in a sense, but also most importantly to receive and get to interact with other, with the legislative sector in the province and the municipalities in which these things have happened. There are councillors there and officials of government there who needs to be acted in. We mustn't be going there to trip over each other and prevent additional stress and anxiety to people who least desire to see that, but would like to see their lives getting back to normal as fast as possible. So alignment is what will drive the work of the Ad Hoc committee and its relationship with the provincial legislature committees that are already operational on the ground and municipal structures that are also already on the ground. So what we are trying to do is to contribute a bit of what Parliament can do to provide support to people who have been faced with this damage, including to the lives of their family members and so on, as well as to their livelihoods. The work that has already been done is absolutely critical to be supported.
Now, Tsenoli, there were concerns, and the president said this in his address, that as soon as, the relief measures were announced, people were concerned that this money will, in fact, be misappropriated, and he talks about real-time audits. But some members of the public aren't convinced that this is going to be enough in terms of preventative measures to prevent money being stolen. Why should members of the public trust that Parliament is going to do its job now of oversight? And the reason I ask you this is because the former Speaker, Thandi Modise, had to apologize to the Zondo Commission, saying it was regrettable that Parliament only woke up to issues around state capture very late. So why should members of the public trust that Parliament will do its job now?
The work that we do should be the basis on which people recognize that work is being done to remedy the situation. And I would like to suggest that in the context of what's happening now, we must also explain that usually the work of being active on the ground to implement decisions is that of the executive. There are MPs on the ground in those areas, and the management and the sorting out of the reports that are received from people on the ground needs to be considered and then handed still back to the executive to ensure implementation. In other words, the usual way of working is to receive reports and then act on the reports. The difference is because of past experience. We are suggesting that we must now act alongside what normally would be the terrain of the executive. Of course, not necessarily that should always be the case, but that now we are forced to do so to ensure, especially because of the damage to people's livelihood and so on and their lives, that we are present even as we do so. It means rearranging the way that Parliament does its work. Secondly, there is work that has to be done in the meantime. This is why the Ad Hoc committee this time around has been agreed to. It was refused before because we felt that each committee must do its work. Their work is precisely that, to oversee the functions that's happening. But now, even as we do this, we must receive in mini plenaries in Parliament on an ongoing basis this month in May, what we call budget review reports, to precisely assess what happened in the past, how it was managed, and what should be put on the plate of the executive to go and correct. That work must happen. And you know, budget allocations and decisions are time sensitive. So that work must happen in time so that we can be able to ensure that what we asked for, what the people have said once done, has been captured in the recommendations and will be acted upon by the executive in this instance. So at three levels, at the three spheres of government. In other words, it's practical work that will persuade people otherwise.
And definitely, in Ntate Tsenoli, it's going to be practical work because a lot of concerns continue to really emerge in the public domain around this money. But let's leave it there for now, and we'll continue to see if indeed, as you say, that you are going to be making sure that things are done differently now, that indeed they are done differently. But let me thank you for your time this afternoon. That is Deputy National Assembly Speaker Ntate Lechesa Tsenoli.